Chapter 35, Threads That Pull Us Back. 2:17 p.m. Gardens of Vehard Academy. The soft sound of birds filled the air, mixed with the gentle rustling of leaves in the trees. The afternoon breeze carried a fresh scent of cut grass, lazily dancing across the lawn. Elena was sitting under the generous shade of a tree that looked like it had been there for 2 centuries. Her legs were crossed, an open book resting delicately on her thighs. Her red hair? It shimmered under the golden rays of the sun, falling loosely around her face while her calm, sharp green eyes followed each line on the pages. Even though she wasn't doing anything special, anyone could notice all the gazes falling on her. Without a doubt, Elena had a natural beauty. Something effortless, that drew attention even when she wasn't trying. But, as if the world itself was bored of so much peace, it seemed like it had decided to send her a little annoyance. "Looks like you still enjoy reading." At that moment, the male voice made her sigh before she even looked up. Elena slowly turned her face, lifting her chin just enough to face him. "Well, Therian, knowledge is power, isn't it?" "Haha, indeed." Therian crouched down, casually sitting on the grass near her, wearing that gentle smile Elena knew all too well and hated even more. "So, what do you want?" Hearing Elena be so blunt, he raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Huh? I thought we were past this phase." Elena turned her eyes back to the book, calmly flipping a page. "Don't exaggerate. Nothing's been confirmed officially yet." You're right. But I believe the world will smile on us both." He smiled wider. And his voice came out with that damn poetic tone that made Elena's stomach turn inside. "This bastard, does he really think I feel something for him? As you can see, I'm busy right now." "What do you want?" Elena was cold, firm, and direct. She didn't look at his face, but she was sure that smile had faded in the face of her total lack of interest. "Ah, almost forgot, always happens when I'm around you. This shameless son of a bitch." She couldn't understand how Therian could be so brazen. Even when she gave every signal that she didn't want to see even his shadow, he still wouldn't stop. "That's quite the compliment, can't help it. I was really worried about you and your group after the incident in the transmutation garden. That was a disaster, yeah, it was. I was worried about you." "You didn't need to worry. Hard not to, and well. I was also sad about what happened to the commoner in your group." Elena paused for a second. Her eyes, once calm, widened just a little, as if hearing something unexpected. "It's been 2 days now, since they haven't found him, I guess." That's when Elena finally lifted her eyes to him. She let a gentle smile appear on her lips and cut him off mid-sentence. "Don't worry about him. He'll definitely come back." For a moment, Therian faltered. His usually confident gaze cracked a bit. "Ha! Really? I'm sure." Sure. Don't you think you're believing in something unrealistic?" "They've done several searches, even Aaron found nothing." Elena slowly stood up, cutting him off again. "Well, what can I do? He's not the type to die easily." This time, she looked at him seriously, without the light smile from before, as if her words carried something deeper. "I'm heading back now, I have class in a few minutes. So, if you'll excuse me." She turned her back and started walking away, leaving Therian sitting alone, his gaze lost. Not the type to die easily. What does she mean by that? Therian watched her walk away, confused. He couldn't understand where Elena's confidence in Cain came from. They weren't even close. How could she be so sure about some random commoner? Maybe it was just blind faith? No. He knew it wasn't. He knew Elena's eyes, and those were not the eyes of someone making a blind bet. "Ha, no problem." He kept a crooked smile on his face, his eyes locked on the path where she had disappeared. "If he comes back from the dead, I'll just kill him again. And even if you avoid me now, Elena, you won't be able to do that forever." A treacherous glint flickered in Therian's eyes. "And that smile of yours, one day, you'll show it only for me." 1 hour later. Alchemy class. 2 days had passed since the chaos in the transmutation garden, and Vehard Academy was already back to its normal rhythm. Alchemy classes, of course, couldn't be left behind. The first-year Class S students were gathered in a room bathed in the soft afternoon light, each workbench covered with flasks, leaves, roots, and old books. The air smelled of dry herbs and liquids being heated in small burners. "Are you sure this is right?" "I'm not sure. I'm just following what's in the book." TSK. "But that's not enough. How do we even know these are the right ingredients?" "Ha! I have no idea either." Yen and Marco were sharing one of the benches, trying once again to make the so-called elemental purification solution. It was the same potion they hadn't been able to finish in the last class, interrupted by the disaster. Marco was flipping through the book quickly, reading under his breath. "It says here. Velner leaf, Merlin root, pale girl petals, that's a flower, right?" "I'm sure it is. Brumalis dew and spiked vernita stem." "This has nothing to do with what Kane asked us." Marco cut his own sentence off midway, shutting his mouth suddenly. And then, a small chill ran through him. "Damn!" I spoke without thinking. Yen, who was beside him, snatched the book from his hands in one swift move. She began flipping through it, speaking casually, of course. Couldn't really expect much from that idiot. Marco swallowed hard. "Looks like I screwed up." He didn't know exactly how Yen felt about Kane's disappearance, but he was sure there was some weight there. Maybe guilt, maybe anger, maybe something she herself didn't want to admit. If even he felt bad for having followed what Kane had said, leaving him alone, he couldn't even imagine how Yen felt. Yen took a deep breath. "Let's start over, beginning with small doses." "All right. You tell me, I'll add them." "We'll start with the Merlin roots." MHM. Marco carefully picked up some Merlin roots, feeling their fibrous texture between his fingers. He slowly placed them into the container, watching as the liquid gently reacted, releasing an earthy aroma. "Smells like dirt. It'd be strange if it didn't. Damn. She's so cold." For a moment, he focused only on the movements of his hands, trying to push away the thoughts that kept creeping back, while his mind searched, not very successfully, for ways to make all of this less awkward. If Kane were here, everything would be simpler. Marco had never had much luck when it came to conversations with girls, especially with someone like Yen. Now, add the pale girl petals, just a few, don't overdo it. Pale girl petals? Marco held the petals between his fingers, but part of his mind wandered. Why that name? Who had decided on such a name for white flowers? Was it because girls like Yen existed? He shot a quick glance at her and then at the petals, while Yen read the book carefully. Maybe it was the dark hair against pale skin, maybe the black eyes, or maybe it was just that, in the past few days, she really did look paler? Marco didn't know. But he was sure of one thing. If he didn't know these were just flowers, and someone had handed him petals with that name, out of all the girls he knew, Yen would be at the top of the list. But was that because she actually resembled the flowers? Or because Marco simply didn't know many girls? "Hey, HMM?" Yen noticed his stare even without looking up and murmured in a firm tone. "If you're thinking about anything other than the potion, you better stop." I didn't think anything weird. I mean, then hurry up and add the petals already." "Oh okay, calm down." Marco finally dropped the petals into the magical infusion container. Damn. Since when did she start cursing like that? Marco sighed, sneaking a glance at her while stirring the ingredients. Only a crazy person can handle another crazy person. Where did you end up, man? Damn, is someone bad-mouthing me right now? Kane scratched his ear while sitting on the cave floor, surrounded by leaves, roots, and improvised bundles of ingredients wrapped in larger pieces of leaf. He grumbled to himself, eyes half closed as he messed with what he had managed to gather. "This is all you got?" "All?" Saris, who had been farther away, came closer holding her nose, a visibly annoyed look on her face. "You think it was easy to find this pile of crap and bring it here? Well, you're a fairy." "Exactly. A fairy. Not an elf. What's the difference? Aren't you both forest lovers?" Forest lovers my ass. Who the hell likes living in the woods? Aha, Kane let out a sigh, making a lazy hand gesture like he wanted to dismiss her. Alright. Don't bother me, go play somewhere else now. What? You die, idiot. Saris created a small light orb and launched it right in front of his face. Arg. My eyes, NGH. What's your problem? That's for you to learn to respect your savior. And she suddenly cut herself off, realizing she had taken her hand off her nose while speaking. HMN. This is awful. She immediately flew away, making a disgusted face. Bleg, why does it stink so much? She flew off to get some distance, waving the air around her face. It's not that bad. Not bad? When I brought it here it was already smelly, but now that you've mixed it, it's horrible. What's wrong with your nose? Did you develop? I don't know, smell fatigue from sniffing this stuff? Kane just shrugged. He couldn't explain it himself. In the game, mixing Kurnak root with dead Vernio branch created the base for the internal pulsescence potion, but the item description said it had an unbearable smell for humans, and yet here he was, handling the smell just fine. Maybe this body's already used to bad smells, or maybe that's kinda surprising. I thought noble humans couldn't handle this kind of thing. Kane glanced sideways at Saris, letting out a little laugh. But I'm not a noble. What? Then you're a beggar? Huh, ugh, have you never heard of commoners? Isn't that the same thing? Kane just sighed again. What could he do? Saris was someone who had never left the forest. You're pretty bold for someone who lives in the woods. What did you say? What did you say? Saris started rambling, puffing out her cheeks and throwing out little indignant grumbles, but Kane just went back to grinding the herbs while laughing, completely ignoring her loud protests. Chapter 36 Unspoken Whispers. Marco entered the room slowly, closing the door with a soft click. He lay down on the soft bed with a deep sigh, his eyes fixed on the ceiling for a few moments before murmuring, I still can't get used to such a good bed. For someone used to sleeping on hard wooden boards, being able to rest on something called a mattress was almost like otherworldly technology for Marco. Looks like commoners can only gain here. Unlike the high-class nobles, who always found something to complain about at the academy, for commoners like Marco, any small comfort was a luxury he'd never had. Turning to the side, he let his gaze drift to the nearby window. The moonlight spilled a soft glow into the room, casting calm shadows on the walls. I even get a room with a window facing the moon. Outside, the night was peaceful. Classes were over, the hallways were quiet, and the academy seemed almost serene, for any ordinary student, a perfect atmosphere. But for Marco, the calm only made the discomfort grow. 3 dark mages? Marco tried in every way to push the thoughts away, but it was completely impossible, like every breath he took when alone only pulled back the images he wanted to ignore. Was it really possible? He knew his own limits, he knew how impossible it would be for him to face even one of those mages alone. But Kane, he had faced 3. Not just faced, he had interfered, disrupted, completely ruining their plans. Not to mention the masked mage, the one Elena's group had faced. Marco had heard from Elena that the masked one had made it clear during the fight, he was heading toward his true goal, and that was obvious as the moon, capturing Yen. And in the end, Kane, as expected, had been either the unlucky one or the strategist who crossed paths with him, dismantling the entire plan. Marco bit his lip. Was that just bad luck, or did he really know from the start? Nothing made sense. How could someone risk so much for people they barely knew? How was he in the right place at the right time? And even if it had been on purpose, how could a commoner like Kane have discovered everything that was going to happen? It might sound like nonsense. But Marco knew Yen and Kane didn't know each other outside the academy, and they had gotten close quickly. Maybe, just maybe, one strange possibility crossed his mind. He gripped the pillow, his thoughts starting to boil. None of it made sense. He took a deep breath, squeezing his eyes shut. Could it be that? No. I'm overthinking. == 7:33 p.m. Girls' dormitory. The room was quiet, lit only by a small floating magic lamp. Yen was sitting at a simple wooden desk where she usually studied, an alchemy book open in front of her. Her gaze, however, no longer followed the words on the page but was stuck on the window, watching enchanted fireflies dancing around the massive magic academy. She had always focused on the complexities of advanced mana manipulation, but now, facing an alchemy book and after her recent practice with Marco, she was starting to realize she could no longer wait for help to just appear on its own. Huff, but wanting something wasn't always enough to make someone learn something new. She sighed, closing the book with a soft thud. The study on internal conduction catalysts wasn't helping distract her mind at all. She was from the Magic Tower. She had always studied magic and never wanted, nor had time, to worry about alchemy. But even the magic topics that usually held her attention couldn't calm the whirlwind spinning inside her now. She tilted her head back, massaging her neck. I think I'll just sleep soon. Knock knock. Knock knock. Knock. Yen furrowed her brow. Who would knock on her door at this hour? She wasn't exactly popular, and she couldn't imagine anyone coming to see her. One name, however, crossed her mind, making her eyes widen as she jumped up. Knock knock. Yen opened the door, her heart racing. Unfortunately, all her anticipation evaporated. On the other side stood Elena, looking just as bored as she was, holding a bag. Yen blinked, confused. Sorry, I think you got the wrong room. She tried to close the door, but Elena was quick, stretching out her arm. Don't play dumb. Why would I knock on my own room's door? Yen huffed, rolling her eyes. Then you must have confused it with your friend's room. Again, Yen tried to close the door. Thump. And again, Elena blocked it. Actually, I'm exactly where I wanted to be. The small smile on Elena's face made Yen let out a deep sigh. What do you want with me? I figured you wouldn't go to the cafeteria to eat. And since I didn't want to be there either, Elena raised her hand, showing a bag full of stuff. I brought food. I don't even know you well, we're from the same class and both from noble families. So, classmates. I'm not. If you don't let me in, I'll scream in the hallway and make such a scene it'll ruin your night. I'm not even hungry, growling. The low sound from Yen's stomach cut through the air, making her cheeks flush red. 10 minutes later. The two were sitting on the floor, bags open, food spread out in front of them. Elena was stirring a small container while Yen eyed the dish in front of her with a suspicious expression. Oof. What's the problem? I don't like this Grelmer stew. Grelmer fish helps with magic circulation. And mood too. Yen pushed the plate closer to Elena. Then you eat it. What? I'm not eating that. Then why did you bring it? Because you. Elena stopped mid-sentence, taking a deep breath. Calm down, Elena. You came to help this stubborn girl, not to argue. She pulled something else from another bag. But this time, it didn't look like any kind of special dish. It was a bottle. Hey, what's that? Huh? Just an energy drink, nothing special. Is that alcohol? Do you have an opener? No, I don't. Ah, you're so closed off. Elena stood up, looked to the left, right, and as if she'd found what she was looking for, went to the corner of the dresser and wedged the bottle cap there. What are you going to clack? With a quick move, the cap popped off and fell to the floor, rolling until it stopped near the rug. Without wasting time, Elena raised the bottle to her lips and took a generous swig. Ah! This is so much better than those damn juice machines. Yen, watching everything with a stunned look, pressed her lips tightly. Are you some kind of gangster? For a second, Elena seemed to remember where she was, and with whom. Damn, I can't overdo it. Despite the noble girl pose, Elena was different. After all, she had already lived 2 lives and had left behind much of what nobles considered proper etiquette. Sitting back down, Elena extended the bottle toward Yen. Here, take a sip. Not even dead. It'll make you feel good. I'm not feeling bad. Fine, good for you. Elena wanted to say the same as Yen. But just thinking about the conversation she'd had with Therian made her stomach start to twist again. She leaned back against the wall, taking another sip, her half-closed eyes lost in distant thoughts. Yen bit into a piece of stuffed bread Elena had brought, casting a curious glance. What's this girl's deal? She had no idea why Elena had come to her room. And more than that, how had she managed to bring alcohol into the dorms? Why did you come here to bother me? There are 2 reasons. 2? Which ones? Ah. I'm not telling. Yen raised an eyebrow, chewing slowly. Huh? Why not? Because I don't want to. Yen let out a light sigh. I already know, one of them is because of that future, hey. Don't even mention that idiot to me. Elena pointed a warning finger, cutting her off sharply. I have nothing to do with that crazy bastard. He's just a bastard, idiot, unbearable, arrogant, pretentious, and also, that son of a. The words came out fast, each one sharper than the last, forming a list so long that, at some point, Yen simply stopped chewing, watching Elena like she was looking at some strange creature. She really is a noble? Elena was throwing out so many curses they could probably make an old monk cry if he were listening, and unfortunately, it'd break his vows just so he could tell her to shut up. Yen blinked slowly, biting another little piece of bread, letting a small smile curl at the corner of her mouth. Elena huffed, sinking deeper against the wall, crossing her arms. I really wouldn't want to be in her shoes. In that little dorm corner, between curses and stuffed bread, the 2 girls shared a strange, uncomfortable, but unexpectedly sincere moment.